Welcome to In Edina, a program about the people, places, and activities all in the city of Edina. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald, and we're bringing you this program from the Edina Aquatic Center. What a beautiful facility to come out to and enjoy all of the amenities here with the family. Joining us to talk about this facility and many activities are two guests. We have the Assistant Parks and Recreation Director, Ed McHolda, and also Assistant Manager, Jenna Walden. Thank you so much for joining us on In Edina, and thank you for letting us be here.
Thank you for having us this morning.
What a beautiful place this is. Great weather and a great place. And next year, almost 50 years.
That's correct. In 1958, this facility was built. We've done a number of renovations over the years, but next year is our 50th anniversary.
So you have a lot to celebrate, and you have really seen this park evolve over the years. You've been here for, what, 2 decades now?
I've worked for the city since 1985. However, I was one of those early pool rats. I grew up right across the street, so I've been swimming or managing this facility since probably sometime in the early 60s.
Wow. Now this facility is interesting because it's a water park, and it was here before all these popular water parks started happening. Tell us a little bit about how it's evolved.
Well, actually, the Edina Aquatic Center, originally called the Edina Municipal Pool, was the first built in the Hennepin County. It was built in 1958. That was our first season. Our first major renovation was 1991, and that's when the public pool really started to change itself. And what you saw at that time was more of a water park feel. The water slide, which was the first big amenity brought onto the deck of a public facility.
I remember the water slide too, and you know what? It's actually drawn more individuals and families to water parks. Talk about the attendance change.
Well, when I started in 1985, we used to see about 45,000 people annually. Today we see anywhere from 120 to 140,000 people.
That's a lot of folks coming out to play and have a good time.
It is. I think what we've done is we've tried to create warmer water in motion. Again, the water features, we have 2 different water slides. We've got a body slide, we have an inner tube slide where you can go with a single, double, or triple tube. We have a zip line, which is unique to our facility. There's only maybe 5 in the country. We have a dry play area today, which will attract kids anywhere from 2 to 12. So we've really tried to diversify ourselves in terms of amenities and kind of break down the walls, create more fun, and thus we've created a lot more attendance.
And of course you also have a pool for the Edina Swim Club and all of the swimming activities for those traditional folks that like to come out and get some laps in.
I'm glad you made that point, because as the public pool evolved in kind of the late 80s, early 90s, many municipalities aborted that rectangular competitive pool, and they went to what they would call a zero-depth step-in entry with a 25. Edina has a great relationship with the Edina Swim Club, and we maintained a 50-meter competitive pool, yet massaged it to try to create kind of a family environment as well.
You have segmented times too for different age groups to come in and swim?
We do. We're actually almost always alive. We begin our day at 5:30 in the morning. We've got master swimming, followed by the Edina Swim Club, which comes probably 30 to 45 minutes behind, followed by, we partner with John Foss in the Foss Swim School, so we still do a Learn to Swim segment. We also have the Aquajet swim team, which follows the Edina Swim Club, and then at 11:30 every day we open to the general public.
Wow, so there's plenty of things to do, and it runs all the way till 8:30 at night?
8:30 at night in the months of June and July. In August we close at 8.
And of course, keeping it a safe facility is part of your role, Jenna. How many lifeguards are on duty here?
This year we have about 36 lifeguards on staff.
And where do you get all these lifeguards from?
mostly returning college students who actually grew up at the pool, and now they are here to protect what they love.
And you don't have to be an Edina resident to be here at the facility. You get folks coming from all over, right?
We do. We have people come from all the way from Shakopee, I've seen.
Okay, great. Now, lifeguards here are certified?
They are. They're certified every single year through Jeff and Ellis Associates.
Okay, and that's one of the leading programs in the country, is that right?
Yes, it is. It's very popular, especially in the South.
Okay, great. Ed, talk a little bit about how this facility is paid for.
Well, it's actually self-supported. All of these amenities that we see today, again, we've got a zero-depth pool with a play structure in the center. It's got 2 tunnel slides, 1 spiral slide, a tire swing. We've got the water slide tower with a body and inner tube flume into a plunge pool. We've got a zip line. We've got the dry play. Everything has been self-financed. It's been through season tickets and daily admissions, which is our primary revenue sources.
Now, I know you've got your eye on a new water toy. Talk about that.
We do. We had really hoped to open up this season with a new water amenity, one to really capture the kids kind of from that 10 to 15, maybe 10 to 16. They're kind of the forgotten population. It's a flow rider. A flow rider is a simulated surfing machine. City Council was very much support. However, when we did our bid opening last August, the bids were a little bit higher than what we had projected, and so we decided to delay that project. But boy, what better way to celebrate your 50th anniversary than by adding the flow rider to the Edina Aquatic Center.
Well, it's all about amenities, and it's all about having fun and having a safe time for the family here at the park. And to help with that, you have a couple of costume characters. Tell us a little bit about Pirate Pete here.
Hi, Pete. Pete actually is stuck at our facility. His ship landed ashore in 2001, and so now he kind of is our pirate that watches the west end of the facility, the zip line, and the Pirate's Plunge, which is our water slide tower.
Keeping a careful eye on all the swimmers out there.
All the sailors.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Scotty's job?
Well, Scotty is our pool rat. Scotty's typically the first one to arrive every day and the last one to leave. And Scotty's probably the most excited about our new amenity, hopefully that flow rider. Wants to do some surfing and hang 10.
Scotty loves to surf, I can see that. You have a lot of children that hang out here from sun up to sundown. You must.
I do.
Yeah, you must. I remember when I was out swimming with my family, boy, I tell you, I hated to get out of the water.
Yeah, it's a great place for the family to be. We want all families to feel welcome. We want them to feel safe. We want everybody to feel a very important person at this facility.
Well,
we want to create memories.
I want to thank you very much, all of you, for coming and joining us on In Edina. And thanks so much for letting us do this program right here from your facility. A beautiful place. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Ed.
Lillian.
Thank you. And thank you, Jenna. And thanks a lot, Pete and Scotty. We'll see you out in the pool sometime. Well, it's very important to be water safe, whether you're in the pool or out on the lake. And joining us with some water safety tips is lifeguard Sydney Scott. Thank you for joining us on In Edina.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Before we talk about water safety, let's talk about credentials of being a lifeguard. This is your 4th year here, and you're also an instructor, and it's tough duty.
It is.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, on our staff, we have a lot of hard-working lifeguards, a lot of people with aquatic experience, such as diving, synchronized swimming, competitive swimming, people who just like the water in general and like to be outside.
So they have to be experienced, but they also have to be trained and certified.
Right. With Jeff Ellis and Associates, we have 3 to 5 surprise audits every summer, and they check to make sure that we're doing our jobs as lifeguards, and they perform surprise live scenarios, drop our little mannequin Timmy on us to make sure that we're scanning our zones properly.
So the Jeff Ellis Training School that comes and does these audits is top of the line in the country training. There's a lot of lifeguard training in the South, and they do these surprise audits. You don't know they're here. What are they looking for?
They actually come disguised as just a regular pool patron, and they'll be videotaping us scanning our zones, which is the area that a chair is responsible for looking after over the water. And they videotape us to make sure that we're scanning our zones within 10 seconds and that we're able to reach a distressed swimmer.
And then Timmy is a practice, a live practice.
Right.
Okay, so you have a live rescue practice. And then you make sure that they let you know that they're here now, and they say you're doing well, and they recertify you. That's great.
Right.
Now, on my end, as a pool patron, water safety is important. What are some things that I can do to make sure that myself and my family is safe in the pool?
Well, it sounds basic and maybe obvious, but the most important thing is know how to swim. For kids, it's important to learn how to swim early on. That way they can be as strong swimmers as young children. And we love that as lifeguards, so that's number one importance. And also swim with a buddy. That way you always have someone knowing where you are and if you're in trouble.
And of course, if you're a parent and you're bringing your children or babysitter, keep your eye on young swimmers.
Right.
You're responsible for them. And if they don't know how to swim, don't just send them to any pool. They should probably go to certain pools, ones they can stand in.
We have the zero depth pool right here. And also for maybe kids who aren't as strong as swimmers, only go waist deep. Always have a babysitter, parent right there by your side.
What about flotation devices?
Well, at our facility, we only allow U.S. Coast Guard Type 3 approved flotation devices. This means no water wings, no personally inflatable devices, no noodles, kickboards. We actually have a great reason for this. Is U.S. Coast Guard Type 3 approved life jackets make sure that the child or adult floats head up in the water and not feet up.
So the Coast Guard jacket approved or the Coast Guard flotation device actually guarantees this or nearly guarantees this?
Right, they offer a lot more support of the head and sometimes have a strap between the legs. This ensures that your head's always above the water and maybe not your feet.
Safety brakes?
Safety brakes are really important. We sometimes have them. It depends on the weather and the amount of people we have at the pool. They're really great on really hot days because this allows people a chance to reapply sunscreen, to meet back up with parents, to take a rest. Sometimes kids get tired swimming. This way they can either warm up, meet back up with their parents, get something to eat, re-energize, and we as lifeguards can cool off in the water, so we love them.
Feet first entry. I know that's something you really wanted to talk about. Tell us why.
Yes, if you don't know how deep the water is into which you're jumping, always go feet first because head first entries could be dangerous in that if the water is too shallow, you may hit your head and cause a neck or spinal injury, which could be very dangerous. So we only allow diving in the diving well of our pool.
Wonderful. There are a lot of things to keep in mind. Also know the weather, what's going on around you, know your limitations. If you're too tired,
Right.
probably ought to get out of the water.
Too cold, anything you just don't feel capable of swimming up to your best, it's probably best to stay out of the water.
And listen to the lifeguard.
Right. Always obey the rules. They're there for a purpose.
Thank you very much, Sydney, for your time, your effort, and keeping an eye out on all the swimmers. We appreciate having you on In Edina. We have some of these guidelines for you on the screen. Take a look at them, and remember, be sure you know what's going on when you go to the pool or out on the lake, and play it safe. You're watching In Edina. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald, and we're bringing you this program from the Edina Aquatic Center. But now we're going to talk a little bit about getting ready. Get Ready campaign, brought to you by the Twin Cities area chapter of the American Red Cross. And joining us is Courtney Johnson, Media Relations Manager, here to talk about Get Ready. What's Get Ready all about?
Well, we want the citizens of the Twin Cities to be able to get ready for emergencies, be it a personal emergency, a health emergency. If you saw someone who had collapsed, would you know how to help them if you were, out at Target?
CPR training or something.
CPR, first aid. We're also looking for folks to be disaster ready. Do you have a disaster kit in your basement? Do you have an emergency evacuation plan to get out of your home in case there was an emergency? Those kinds of things.
Let's talk about a kit. What do I need a kit for? I know I have a winter kit in the car for safety reasons, but what about at home?
Exactly. That's the first step in the 3 steps is get a kit. You want to have a disaster kit so that if something was to happen and you had to hunker down and could not leave your house, that you would have enough food, water, and other supplies for you and your family for 3 days. So that's 1 gallon of water per person per day. So if it's just yourself, you're going to need a minimum of 3 gallons of water in your kit. enough food to feed yourself. Pets are often overlooked. You need to have enough dog, cat food, leashes, kennels if you needed to take them places, litter boxes for cats, that kind of thing. Also, you want to have medications, some simple tools, that kind of thing in your kit.
So you just want to make sure that you're not caught off guard, make sure you have enough food if you had to stay home for 3 days for any reason.
Exactly.
So if there's a tornado or something and you just needed to stay safe in your home because there was no electricity, for instance.
Or even, yeah, exactly, the no electricity is a good example. If it was in the winter, and something happened, there was an ice storm and you didn't have electricity and the roads were impassable and you had to stay in your house for 3 days, you need to be prepared for that.
I know one thing too would be to have some activities available for children if they had to be at home for 3 days with nothing to do, no school, no activities to go to.
Right, that's also a really good idea. Some people will put coloring books, even activities for adults, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, that kind of thing in there to keep everybody busy. Because imagine if you don't have electricity, a lot of the entertainment, the televisions and the radios and that kind of thing that we normally look to won't be able to work.
I've become so electricity dependent, so it's probably a smart idea for me to have a battery-operated radio at least.
Exactly, a battery-operated.
Or one of those crank-up ones that don't even require batteries.
A flashlight's also good. Those kinds of things.
And a first aid kit, of course, that you want to have on hand. And these are things that we forget to have handy unless we consciously make an effort to do, and that's what this Get Ready campaign is about.
Exactly, and that's why the disaster kit is so important. It's dedicated supplies, that are in, like a Tupperware container in a corner of your basement. A lot of folks might say, oh, I just went grocery shopping last night, I've got enough stuff. Well, you and your family are going to be going through that, and disasters don't necessarily strike on our timetables. In fact, they don't. They're not going to hit right after you've just stocked up with the family for groceries.
So get a kit. Now, what about get a plan? What is that?
Get a plan is have an evacuation plan. And that means have a plan out of your house if the smoke alarms went off in the middle of the night or the CO detectors went off in the middle of the night, but also to have a plan to get out of the Twin Cities metropolitan area if something bigger happened. So know your route, have an alternate route. Also have an emergency contact somewhere outside of the cities. So if Grandma lives in Chicago, everybody in your family should know that Grandma's the emergency contact. We're all going to call her, check in with her, because the phone lines will probably be easier to get to if there was a large-scale disaster. So if you all call into her, she'll kind of keep tally of everybody, and she can be kind of the spokesperson for the family and getting the message out to everybody else to let you know that Lillian and her family is safe.
And the other thing that's important is to get involved in your community, get involved too in practicing your plan, but how do you get involved in your community?
Exactly. Well, we're looking for folks to get involved, and there are a number of different ways. To volunteer with the Red Cross or other community organizations, to donate time, donate money, those kinds of things is what we're looking for people to get involved. Also, taking a CPR class.
Yeah, we have a little time left. I want to talk about that. You have a way of getting people involved here in this city and others in the metro area, actually, to get involved in CPR on a CPR Saturday event coming up in the fall. Can you talk about that?
Exactly. On Saturday, September 22nd, we're doing a CPR Saturday event in Edina. We're trying to get a whole bunch of folks trained at one central location. We're going to have a regular CPR class from 8 a.m. until noon, and then we have online learning classes where people can kind of learn that, it's 15 compressions and 2 breaths, and practice that and know that from the studies online, and then come in and get checked out in their skills to make sure that they're tilting the head all the way back and that they're breathing enough for the folks.
So it's Saturday, September 22nd, 8 to noon. Where is it?
It is at the Edina South Metro Training Facility, which is 7525 Braemar Road.
That's right, great. Free of charge then?
No, there will be a cost, but it's just a more centralized location for residents of Edina.
Then you'll have more people trained in CPR. They'll go out in the community and they'll be ready.
That's right.
And we're encouraging everybody to get ready. Thank you very much, Courtney, for telling us about it. Good luck on your campaign.
Thank you.
And on CPR Saturday, September 22nd. After a long day swimming in the pool, out on the lake, or maybe working in the backyard, it's kind of fun to have folks over and socialize, maybe around a campfire at the park or in your home. Well, now we're going to talk about fire safety and also some things you can do to help firefighters and paramedics find you when you need them the most. And joining us for that conversation now are Tom Jensen, Fire Marshal for the City of Edina, and also Mike Hughes. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Well, let's talk about recreational fires. I have them at my home from time to time. They are fun to have folks hang out, especially on a beautiful summer day, the end of a long day. But there are some things we need to keep in mind and some rules as well. Tom, tell us about that.
Some of the rules they got to apply, go by is that you have our recreational fire permit filled out first. So you get that online, the city's website, and complete that application. It's got all the rules and regulations on there. That's the first thing they need to do, is read and understand what those rules are. So the rules talk about where that fire can be located in the backyard. You don't have like a fire pit you want to build in the backyard. You got to be about 25 feet away off from the structure. That includes your neighbors' houses.
Let's talk about that. Really, the permit is to let you know that you have premises with the potential of having a fire, a recreational fire. So you know, and you're on the record. It doesn't cost anything to have a permit.
No.
And you can. It is easy to just online, download it, fill it out, and record it, and then put it on the refrigerator so it's there. And there are some specifications about what you can have in the backyard. You mentioned 25 feet. That's away from the house?
Away from the house, or any other type of structure you might have. That, you know, a building, maybe a shed back there, the neighbor's garage might be back there. You got to kind of watch that. And then if you buy one of those fire pits, you can buy in the stores today, we let you go about 10 feet from the structure. And that just keeps the fire more contained than that fire pit does.
That's what I have. I have one of those pre-approved, and it's kind of a kennel-like thing.
It's got a screen around it, the lid on top of it,
yeah.
and it just keeps things contained.
Yeah.
So we'll let you come within 10 feet of your property, your building.
And it's important to know, too, that your neighbors are right by you, too, so you have to look out for all of the areas around the fire.
And you're supposed to let your neighbors know if you're going to have one. Because smoke tends to move. And we want to make sure the wind speeds are down, so if the wind's over 15 miles an hour, you can't have that fire today. So that's another thing you kind of watch what the weather's like.
Because sparks will fly out of there with more than a 15-mile-an-hour wind especially, and you could have a serious problem, of course. What about size of the campfire pit? If you have a fire pit, or do you have to have rocks around it? Any guidelines there?
If you got the fire pit, yeah, you should have an area around there that's got rocks around it to keep that fire from spreading. If it got outside that fire pit, it can't go anywhere. And then size of your fire can only be 3 feet wide. And the flame should be no more than 2 feet high at any time. And then you need to have something back there to put the fire out. So you should have either a garden hose, or you could have a bucket of sand or a shovel, something to be able to put that thing out.
And never go to bed with even a coal out lit, because it's amazing how that can just pop right back up again. It doesn't take much. Yeah. What about fire restrictions? It gets dry in the summertime.
We usually don't have any problems around here once things green up, but the one restriction we do have comes in April. The snow is gone, things haven't greened up yet, so the DNR tends to put in some restrictions, usually from the 1st of April till mid-May. That's usually statewide. Sometimes it's isolated just parts of the state, but you got to kind of watch that. And when they put those regulations or restrictions in place, then we say no to recreational fires. That is on the permit application. It does tell you that there could be some restrictions during that time.
So if the DNR has if we have a serious dry spell, yeah, okay. And so far so good in that regard, but again, it's important for you to stay notified about that. There are also some do's and don'ts of things to burn.
Yes, you can't burn your yard waste.
Which seems natural. I'm out trimming my tree all day. It's wood. Why not toss it in the pit?
Well, it's when it's green. And when it's green like that and it's wet, it produces a lot of smoke. And we get calls for that. Smoke comes from the back of a house. Mike's probably been on some of those calls where you got smoke coming from the backyard. We send the engine crews over there to see what's going on. If there's a real fire in here, it's just someone in the backyard burning yard waste. So you can't burn the yard waste, can't burn garbage. You're supposed to have seasoned wood like you would in your fireplace in your house. And enjoy it. It's supposed to be a good recreational time to have people around. Just follow the instructions on the permit.
Yeah, you can get yard waste in there. Those branches, if they haven't been cut down and they're still green and they're tall, that creates fire height. And that reminds me, if you have trees, that I do in my backyard, trees that are high, if that flame gets up too high, you could actually set that tree on fire too, and you have a bigger problem on your hands. Okay, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate the information on the recreational fires. But if accidents do happen, whether it's a recreational fire or a fire in a home, or someone is actually sick and needs a paramedic to find the home, another problem that we're seeing is people can't find the house. And we're talking about crews that are on the fly and in a hurry. Let's talk about premises identification.
Well, addresses are very important in my line of work as a paramedic and a firefighter, but more in the medical situation, we get called from 911, and sometimes it's very hard to find the house depending upon where the numbers are located on the house, where they might be on the mailbox or on a separate sign, and especially at night. it's a problem in trying to find a lot of these.
And there are some guidelines in the city ordinances, the fire codes, that recommend residents have 4-inch letters and commercial buildings have 12-inch letters, or numbers, I should say, on the buildings themselves for proper identification. But you are also talking about, even more important than the size, is contrast.
Correct. The numbers need to stand out for us. And if the numbers are the same color or a similar color of that of the house, it makes it that much difficult to find, especially at night. So that's why we ask, the bigger the numbers, the better for us, and the more contrast, the better. And more especially at night.
Ideal is black on white, if you can get it. And it may look nice to have brass numbers on the house, but those are actually the hardest ones to see.
Correct. Yeah.
And you like multiple identifications, so mailbox, end of the driveway, so like a lot of the houses here in the city are set back, so you have a hard time seeing depth.
Even 4-inch letters, if your house is set back 50, 60 feet, those 4-inch letters are very small, or 4-inch numbers are very small for us.
So identifying the mailbox or at the end of the driveway, if you can have it lighted, a porch light is better than no light at all. Or if you made a call to 911, turn all the house lights on so that you can see it.
That's a great idea, especially at night. Most houses are dark at night, and if we can pull up on a block and see that one house lights are on, we're going to try and focus in on that house, especially to see what numbers. If it's not your house, we're going to have a good idea where your house may be in relation to that house. So that helps with that.
Time is everything in your business, and if we can help you find us, that's the way to go. Trim the hedges and the bushes, I might add. I've got some by the numbers on my house, so it's a good reminder as well to everybody. I want to thank you both for joining us on Edina. I want to especially thank you both for doing what you do for our residents and our businesses here in the city. It's hard work, and we really appreciate it. And we hope we can work with you to keep the fire safe, and find us if you need us. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Have a great summer.
You too.
Well, it's now my pleasure to introduce Edina's 2007 Business Person of the Year, Mr. Chuck Moody. Thank you very much for joining us on Edina. Congratulations on your award. Really,
thank you.
You are the CEO for the International Dairy Queen, headquartered right here in the city of Edina. More than 20 years in business with Dairy Queen, lifetime resident of the city of Edina, and contributor now to our community. And you have a special interest in children's issues. Talk a little bit about those.
Well, I think corporately, International Dairy Queen has tried to be a good corporate partner within the community for different school functions and activities, as well as different community events that are going on. So corporately, we try to be a good sponsor. But I will say selfishly and individually, as a parent of 3, there's a real desire to make sure that as a resident and community player here, that we are giving back in that respect. And so for our kids and for the next generations here in Edina, and creating a longevity and heritage that has been so proud, that we've got to all give back. And no matter what role or capacity we play, that it is very important in that respect.
One of the things that is kind of interesting about your philosophy too is it's not a given issue that gets you going. You believe more in a foundational approach to giving back to communities. Talk about that.
Well, I think again there are always relevant issues that are important for anybody to be taking a stance on. But I think more importantly, what our community also needs is the structural components that are going to facilitate that. And so a great focus for us has been creating programs, creating projects and facilities, and working on the referendums that are ultimately going to create investment into these communities that have not really been relevant to a particular issue or a hot button. And so I believe that creates the greatest long-term effect and the greatest positioning power for our community, and that's really where our focus has been, and not try to be issue-related.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Now, the nominations for this position are accepted through April. You were given the award in May. There's 5 criteria involved in that. Sound business practices, operates a successful business and organization, demonstrates creative and innovative ideas, which clearly Dairy Queen does, long-term commitment to the community, and contributes to the quality of life in the city of Edina. Now, clearly you've done that as an organization with Dairy Queen, and as the Chief Executive Officer of Dairy Queen as well. And by the way, we should just note for other individuals that might like to be nominated sometime, last year's recipient and the Chamber of Commerce decides every year who gets the award. But talk a little bit about how your business has played a role personally in mentoring activities and issues that you've taken care of here in the city.
You know, I think in my position, my role, you know, I'm able to experience the world. We're located in 22 different countries with nearly 6,000 locations spread throughout. And so you have a chance to see the world and experience it in new dimensions. And I think the interesting thing for me is I get to come back to Edina and I get to reside in Edina and have that be my world in addition to the international world that I'm able to be a part of. And I think that what we try to indicate to our franchisees and those a part of our system is to get active and to be involved in the community and really take a liking to that. And I think that we need to try to emulate that as corporate leaders as well, that we are active in our community. And so for me, I feel it's a responsibility, but more than a responsibility, it's an enjoyment. I take great pride in this community and enjoy being a part of it in any little facet that I can do.
Well, we really appreciate the work you do and getting involved. Really, there's so many people that expect people to bring services and ideas to them, but it's really nice to be able to talk and learn from individuals that give back to the community and make that a valuable part of their lives. We really appreciate that effort and your encouragement for others, and congratulations again on this award and your work at Dairy Queen and all the things you've done for the city of Edina.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm not sure it's well deserved, but I very much appreciate it.
And you're humble too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All
Chuck
right.
Moody, congratulations again. 2007 Edina Business Person of the Year. Well, we hope you enjoyed our show broadcast from Edina's Aquatic Center. I'm your host, Lillian McDonald for In Edina. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us for this broadcast. Until next time, I hope all of you have a safe and fun summer.